about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.
That was a great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. EZ BlueZ, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have to stay on behind the brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go back in the way back machine. We are going to talk about going down into a cave. And inside that cave, sitting in front of beautiful monitors, there was this magical man that was able to convert talking sounds into music. In that darkness, there was this light that was oh so beautiful. And from those moments, he spoke of the law that became the Sky Swamp Orange. And it was right there that I knew that this young man had the capability for greatness. And since then, he has done Warped Tour. He has done show upon show upon show, playing with some of the heaviest of weights of the ground that is under. So I want you all to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, keep those hands at 10 and 2 and bang upon your steering wheel for the amazing Stray from Sky Swamp Orange. My good brother, it has been too long since you and I have sat down and had a conversation. Thank you so much for being here. You know how much I love and respect you, or at least hopefully you know that. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys. That was quite the intro right there.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to hire you to do my birthday party or something.
I'm down, dude. I'm a phone call away. You know this. But for the people who don't know you as well as I do and haven't, had these incredible conversations with you, let's talk a little bit about who you are and how you became on this journey, because your journey is also a little bit different than, the typical, just starting out in hip hop or just starting out in rock. Sky Swamp Orange bridges the gap between those two. So what was that like? And, what was it like kind of being a conflicted teen in that aspect?
Really? So, I mean, I feel like I just grew up listening to so many different styles of music. Both my parents were musicians that listened to all different types of stuff. So growing up in my house, it was just always a smorgasbord of different music, playing. And but growing up, predominantly a lot of my friends around me and would all listen to hip hop a lot. And so I got into hip hop at a really young age. And as time goes on, your tastes change, they evolve, all that kind of stuff. And, I managed to run into a group of guys that I'm now in a band with who also kind of had a similar upbringing of different musical styles and interests. And we just kind of tried to slam that all together into one big panini,
It's true. And it is a delicious panini. Just a little bit of that, the orange actually comes from the roasted tomatoes, and that's really where the orange comes from. There you go. There. See?
There it is.
Now you also, have a solo hip hop aspect of it. There are these incredible, you start to see it now even on TikTok, where you'll start to do those, 16 bar challenges. And what I really respect about your writing is you're not trying to be anyone but yourself. You don't necessarily talk about the topics that, everyone's going to talk about. And you have this beautiful quality of embracing some of the, we will say, less talked about topics. And for a lot of those people that are kind of like that outcast society, and I'm not talking about outcast as per, AT aliens. Right. I'm talking about like outcast as per the kid that you didn't talk to in high school that sat at that table. Was that you as a kid, or were you like the super popular kid that you could just relate to them?
Oh Lord, no. I was definitely not the popular kid. I don't know. I was kind of that kid that would kind of just float around between different
Mm-hmm.
groups of people, kind of. I growing up, I was the only child, and so I never like really had like a sense of like an older sibling or anything like that. Um, Kind of showing me like stylistically like ways of being and stuff. So I just kind of gravitated towards like just people that I felt like I saw little glimpses of myself in. Like, I'd hang
Mm-hmm.
out with like the skaters and the punks, or like more the like kid, like the artsy kids and stuff like that. The jocks were never really my friends and stuff, but um, I think uh as far as like what you were saying about kind of my writing and that kind of person, I guess the outcast, I guess, I mean, it's not really something that I consciously like super plan. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like I'm the voice for the voiceless or anything like that. It's more just like I'm just speaking my truth and just like stuff from my perspective. And if people can relate to that, that's beautiful, that's wonderful. I feel like as an artist, that's all you really want, is somebody to make you feel like you belong and that there's other people like you that relate to
Mm-hmm.
something. But yeah, I would definitely say we're not the band to put on at your bar mitzvah. um if you're maybe in your feels after the bar mitzvah, you know put a song.
Mm-hmm. Right. After the Manischewitz is hit just right, and you're in your feels, you definitely want to throw on some Scotch Swamp Orange and have that internal, crisis.
Yeah.
It's fine. Identity crises are normal. It's perfectly fine. Especially the wine makes it so much better.
Absolutely.
No, but it's so interesting because I've had I've had the honor to see kind of a growth in such a beautiful way. I got to see, before there was anything, there was you sitting in a chair and just talking about what is going to be, and talking about these moves that you were going to make. And to your credit, and I really want to give you your flowers for this, pretty much everything that you told me those many years ago that you wanted to do, you accomplished. So pat yourself on the back for that. That's an
I
amazing
appreciate
thing.
it. Thank you,
You
man.
know, you've also had the amazingness, and I want to talk about it. You played Warp Tour.
Yeah.
You were in it, and you played Warp Tour with acts that are heroes of yours. Where you've actually got to meet them and talk to them on a human to human level. What is that experience like for that band, as the hip kids like to say, on the come up, to sit and sit down with the people that you admire and you respect? And what is it like to have that seat at the table?
It's terrifying, to be quite honest with you. I feel like I've I've definitely met a lot of cool artists in my time, and it's hard to not fanboy out and stuff. Over people that you grew up listening to and have gotten you through some of the darkest times of your life. And there was Warp Tour was full of a lot of those people. For all of us in the band, there were a lot of bands on there that each one of us kind of grew up on, and got the chance to either just simply say, hey, what up, and or actually sit down and have full on conversations with some of these acts, and get advice from them. Listen to them tell us like, oh, you're doing A, B, and C. Well, that is completely wrong. So try it this way. Save yourself some time. And just simple things. Whether it
Right.
was just a basic advice on touring. Things that
Mm-hmm.
you should keep an eye out for while you're on the road. And how to keep yourself safe and healthy out there, because the road is stressful. It's very stressful. It's a lot of fun, but it's 90% just you in a van. That's with a bunch of people who don't have enough deodorant. So glamorous.
Minty. Air freshener is a wonderful thing and needed. Also, Febreze will make your tour so much easier with this wonderful can of Febreze. But that's like the thing is a lot of the musicians that are listening right now that are hoping to form a band and hoping to get on tour. We are a big fan of talking realistically here, to telling people how it actually is. It is not that tour bus. It is not, it is living in a van, and it is, making sure that, your socks don't smell like death, and musicians can be as superstitious as athletes. I have definitely played and done touring stuff with musicians that, played a great show, that one show, and now for the rest of the tour they have to wear the same exact socks, or it's going to throw off everything. And it can get a lot where you're like, bro, I have no problem with you wearing those socks every night on stage, but can you take them off and put them in a airtight Ziploc baggie and put them to the side until then they don't want you to take? Or can we duct tape your boots to your legs from this point on, because we don't want that noxious fumes to get out and destroy? What were those uncomfortable conversations like? Did you have any of those kind of weirdness?
Yeah, I've definitely had when you're on the road, showers are not always available for a little stretch of a time, so baby wipes are definitely your friend. But there's been times with past members of the band that we had to pretty much tell them hey, there is a shower here, you should use it and take advantage of this situation. And the puzzled look on their face, and it's like, I'm sorry, but you smell. I need you to do something about this. As a grown man, I hate telling you this, but this needs to happen. But they're uncomfortable, but everybody, it's never malicious or anything. It's just, it's all love and stuff out there, and you tease each other. So
that is the most incredible thing, and that is why also it is very important to have the right dynamic in a group that you are putting together, or you have to really, really like each other, if not love each other, to that point where when you love someone, you have a tendency to overlook some certain things. But when you are on the road, it's kind of like when you first get married, and you're living with that person. That one little cute thing was really cutesy and amazing. And, after the 300th time, you're just like, you put the toilet paper in the wrong way. You're from the devil. Why would you do that? It makes no sense. You should die. So you really have to have that love and affection. Did you have those moments too, where you were like, man, I swear to God, if this dude comes in to this van one more time with his left butt cheek in first instead of just sitting down in one type of aspect, I'm going to choke him? Or if this dude puts one more Backstreet Boys CD on, it was funny the first time, but I'm done. He's not allowed anymore. Did those things happen?
I've definitely had a moment where I've talked to another member and conspired against a different member to leave them in the middle of Indiana or something like that. I'm just like, we're gonna hit this rest stop and we're just gonna leave them. But it's always a lot of, we've our band's been a bit of a revolving door. We've had a couple lineup changes here and there, and it's no disrespect to any of the past guys, but there is a lot of tension that can build up on the road and stuff, and it's not just they have to adapt to being with you just as much as you got to adapt to being with them, and realize, okay, you're not by yourself. You're not in your own home. Like, you got to make sure every member of your touring crew is comfortable, and, we're a small band. Like, we don't have a big budget or anything. So it's like 6 of us, plus our touring manager, like, all crammed into this small space for, we're driving 14, 15 hours between shows sometimes. And it's like, it gets to you after a while. And I think it's a lot of also reading people's like body language and stuff, knowing when to leave somebody alone and stuff, like, don't, if you see somebody with their headphones on in the van, just like let them zone out and stuff like that. But I know one thing that bothers a lot of the members of our band is, we, if possible, we try to just, if we have a long commute to another show, we try to just drive through the night, and we will keep music just blasting in the van all night long. And if you've ever, I'm sure anybody listening who's done any type of touring knows it is almost impossible to sleep in the van because you're just sleeping straight up like this all the time, and all you hear is just bass coming in. Nothing's comfortable. You're crammed up next to each other, but so you kind of gotta relax and zone out when you can. But yeah, no, there's definitely moments where I've wanted to kill people. I'm sure there's moments where people wanted to kill me. It happens. But I think the most important thing is that if the tension ever does really get to a point where it's feeling a little personal, you just got to talk those things out. Like, you can't let it fester for a couple days because it just gets worse. And, it's important to nip those kind of things in the bud, but also know, like I said, when somebody doesn't want to talk, and just respect that. You got to have boundaries out there, but it's kind of hard to do also.
Well, I absolutely love what you're talking about, because there is also that parallel, and I hope, and we're going to kind of crack into it a little bit, I hope it actually makes it for better performance and better writing aspects as well. When you can understand that other person's, I like to call the 80-20 rule. If you're in with a group of different people, you're comfortable maybe 80% of that time. 20% of the time you're uncomfortable, but you have to understand that 20% is part of that next person's 80%, and you need to respect it. I love that you mentioned boundaries as well. Do you feel that has actually helped you guys write together and perform together so much more, that you've had this experience of understanding this person on a level that not a lot of people really will ever know them as?
I think so, because I think the more touring and stuff we do, like, we all become so much closer, like, and we I can tell when somebody's had enough of me on tour. I know when it's time to shut up and just walk away, and they know the same thing, like, especially if it's prior to a show. Like, if it's we just got to a place, and I'm kind of weird, like, before we go on stage and stuff, I have a lot of, it's ironic because I'm a front man, but like, I get a lot of like anxiety and stuff before going on stage, and like just the pre-show jitters. I know, like, we all kind of go through it, but like, I'll get so far in my head, and people would see me kind of stressed out, and they'd want to come talk to me and be like, hey, like, what's up? They're just checking in, but now they kind of know me, and they just let me do my thing, kind of, because it's not one of those moments where I need people to like talk to me or something. It's just like, hey, let me just go breathe and work this out in my own head, and just kind of get ready to flip that switch before I go on stage, and I think we're all like that in a sense. Like, we all kind of have our own little pre-show rituals and stuff like that. But I definitely think, like, all those kind of things have brought us closer, and it does help when we go back into a writing mode pretty much. Like, like, because I'm, especially with my lyrics, I'm big on metaphors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll slip things in our songs that I know that only they will understand and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like it's so cryptic and whatnot, but they're like, oh, I know what you're referencing there and stuff, because of something we saw on the road, or an event that happened. And yeah, I don't know. And I think that just kind of builds more camaraderie, and it also builds more trust when writing, because I know for me, like, writing's a very personal kind of experience, if that's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes hard to give up that kind of little bit of like power to other people, because you're like, oh, I have an idea of what I want this to be. Don't kind of screw it up, but it's to the point where we all know what our strengths and weaknesses are
Mm-hmm.
as a band and individuals, to the point where it's like, I know that if I'm working on a demo or something, and I'm starting to come up with like some production stuff, and I'm making stuff with like some MIDI drums, I know I can send it to Hunter and he's going to school it on the drums. I know that he's going to just add his own flair to something, and it's going to sound 10 times better than what I was thinking. And, that goes for all the guys in the band, I think. And it's also, I think too, by doing that over the years now, it started with maybe like one or two of us being the predominant
Mm-hmm.
writers in the band. And, the project we've been working on the past couple of years, everybody's writing in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's even parts that they've helped me on some lyric parts. It's been a really fun process. And I don't think any of that would be possible without what you were talking about us just kind of being together all the time and building that camaraderie and that trust with each other.
No, it's super, super important. And I love that for you guys. I remember seeing you guys at the Frog Pond at the lily pad.
Oh, the lily pad.
The lily pad rocking and rolling. It was
that was our first show too.
No. I'm talking about the one that we did for the Opus. Rocking
yeah. I remember that.
The January before the January before the world shut down. And it is that incredible energy. Also, like I love the fact that you have a completely different writing style. I'm a big fan of writing. I love writing aspects, and I'm a little envious that you have the ability to kind of create these demos with your own vision there, and then hand them out and let people kind of build off of that vision. Where like myself, I have to kind of like talk about my vision real quick, and then thank God I finally found the most incredible human beings that are able to paint a vision even better than I could ever come up with.
Right.
And blessings to them, because you were there, man. Like I'm good, but these guys are great. You
guys are all great, man. You guys are all super talented.
So I love that fact, and I love that it is completely an organic aspect, and it does tap into both sides of your personality, because not only are you the front person for Sky Swamp Orange, you are a solo hip hop artist as well, but you also deal with production, you also deal with engineering. There's a million different things that you do, and I love that every single one of your side hustles plays into the music aspect of it. Has that always been a big part of you, where you're like, look, I'm going to make it no matter what in doing this, so I'm going to learn everything? Or was it just a gradual aspect?
An aspect on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. To the guests, I apologize. Go right ahead.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I think pretty much, I never planned to kind of do all the stuff, like, and all the side projects and all that. And I think pretty much, like, since I was young, I was just fascinated by every aspect of music. You know, um I loved when I would see pictures or videos of artists in the studio, and I'm like, why are they turning those knobs? What do those knobs do? And, you know, so I wanted to learn how that kind of stuff works. So I got into mixing and recording, and you know, but a lot of the stuff that I like, skill wise, that I have now has pretty much just been acquired over time through necessity, because, you know, in today's world, you kind of, unless you want to dump out thousands of dollars in this industry, you really need to start being a jack of all trades, so to speak. So we pretty much, with Sky Swamp, we do everything in-house, all the way to our music videos. Our guitar player Ronnie does all of our visual work and stuff, just because that was like a hobby of his, and we just kind of swarm it all together. You know, for me, music was always just kind of a hobby, and I just kind of nerded out on different things. And you know, it's funny when those little hobbies, you're like, oh, that's actually useful. That wasn't a waste of time learning that, you know, like, but I don't know. I mean, it's pretty much like, I wouldn't say it's out of the idea of no matter what, will quote unquote make it or anything. It's just, I have some of the most extreme ADD ever, and I feel like I just get uninterested in like everything that I'm working on, and so I just kind of go to the next thing. And you know, while we're working on a Sky Swamp album, I'm just writing, you know, solo hip-hop songs, just because I just want something to do. You know, and I think especially the pandemic brought that more out of me. I think just because it was like, everybody was like, oh, we need something to do, you know, when everything shut down. And pretty much I was just like, hey, you know, writing is like my number one love. And so I was just like, I'm just going up the ante a little bit and just keep going. So that's about it.
So, as for all the different hats that you wear, I know now, obviously, you know, being the front person of Sky Swamp Orange, we know that is the top hat. That is the one that you love. But what is that hidden passion hat? What is that hat that you really didn't know you were going to love, but you wound up completely loving?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I really don't know, honestly. I guess maybe songwriting in general. I've done a little bit of songwriting for other people, and that was something that I've never done, and I never really understood until I started working with some producer friends, and that's a really fun process. I like, it's almost like being an actor, so to speak. Like, I would work with a producer, and they're like, oh, hey, so I have an idea. I'm working with so-and-so, and but we need like a hook or something. Like, it needs to be catchy, but don't write it like you would write a hook. Write it like you're writing from this 21-year-old girl's perspective. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So it's like a fun challenge and stuff. So that's been kind of fun, you know. I would like to do, I haven't done a lot of that, but I don't know. I found that a lot of fun. So if everything else falls apart, I guess I'll just write songs for 20-year-old girls.
That works. That works. We'll start a CT version of Songland, and we'll just, it'll be you and I, and we will interview, you know, songwriters out there, and we're gonna make you great, kid. We're gonna make you great. and then we'll take all their money. No, we won't do that. I swear we won't do that. I promise. But no, it's a remarkable journey, and man, like I hope you understand, like you are an incredible engineer as well. And that engineering aspect is it's such an art form unto itself. You know, we have been blessed and honored to have Sam Carlson on here talking about, you know, what he does at Sans Serif. You know, we've had Vic Steffens on here talking about, you know, what he does as well, and blessings to them. But as an artist as well, that you're able to offer these other services out there, you know, where now you're kind of doing what I like to call the Al Pacino. Al Pacino will take on big budget films that aren't necessarily great, just so that he can then go and afford to do Shakespeare in the Park. Have you been able to use, you know, your engineering aspect and like your hook writing aspects as ways to fund, you know, the art and the passion that is Sky Swamp Orange?
Yeah, I mean, definitely here and there. You know, for a little while, I was doing audio engineering full time as my job, my day-to-day job, and that was, you know, it was paying the bills and kind of just funding the money that I needed for some Sky Swamp stuff. But I think, you know, it's been cool because engineering has opened up different doors that I didn't think would be opened. I had an opportunity back in 2019 where I got hit up by a person I'm not gonna name, but they wanted me to engineer a session for an artist inside of their hotel room and stuff when they were coming through on tour to Worcester. And I didn't know who the artist was at first, and then it ended up being Shaggy Two Dope from Insane Clown Posse. And so that was a very like weird experience as somebody who kind of grew up listening to some of that music, and seeing him without the face paint and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just chilling in this dude's hotel room setting up a little like home studio kind of thing to engineer him. And he was such a cool guy, and he was you know, he wasn't acting like a superstar or a rock star or anything like that. And he ended up like we were just chopping it up, and you know, it came up that I was a musician, but I wasn't trying to like pitch him my music or anything. I never want to be that guy that's just like forcing something down your throat just because I'm in the same room with you. I'm very much like, if it happens, it happens. But he ended up asking me, he's like, oh, is this like all you do? And I told him that I was a musician, and he listened to some of our music, and he was like, oh, you know, he's like, later this year, we're going to be coming through on tour again. We'd love for you guys to open. And we were like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do this, you know, and that's something that wouldn't have happened without the engineering side of something, you know? But I think if there's any up and coming like engineers who are also musicians listening to this, like I said, don't just try to pitch yourself. Like, just let it happen. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. You know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Well, sometimes you just shouldn't take a shot right away. Like, just wait it out. And I don't know, but that's an instance where like the engineering really paid off, you know, and then from the show that we did with them, that kind of opened other doors for different avenues of stuff. And so it's really, music's weird, man. It's like, doors open from angles that you didn't think they were going to, and they close faster than you know. And when one closes, like 10 million others open. It's weird.
No, it definitely is weird, and I love that story happened, and I actually love that for you because I know how much that meant to you. And the one key that I will say, yes, there are shots you shouldn't take, and there are also smart ways to take those shots. With me in particular, I always suggest making a band sweatshirt and making sure that is your favorite sweatshirt that you just take out and you wear it at all times. So when you're in that aspect, and if you are able to build that natural relationship and the person is genuinely interested in you as a human being, they're like, oh well, what do you do? And then you point to the sweatshirt. I had that moment with our mutual friend. I went to go see ICP play, and we got to do the meet and greet beforehand, and just talking with Shaggy Tito, as we're all rocked out in the particular gear. And I was like, oh yeah, see, I'm a media attention, word we cannot 100% say on terrestrial radio. And he whipped out his chain. He goes, oh look, me too. And you were able to have that bonding moment. And it's those real moments. When you are that person. I remember being at the Millennium Music Conference, and I don't know, Prestige, if you were standing 100% there with me, but there was this one dude who was there for all 3 days of the conference, and he kept just continuously asking everybody the same exact question. How do you make it? How do you? I'm out there, I'm grinding the whole time. How do you make it? How do you make it? How do you make it? And finally, by the third night, I actually just looked at him in the eyes. I was like, you do exactly what you're doing the opposite of what you're doing right now. Like, bro, no, you're annoying. And now nobody is going to listen to you, and you could be mad at me all you want, bro, but you kind of shot yourself in the foot here, and people have tried to tell you all weekend, like, pump the brakes a little bit. Get to know some of these people. Like, we have the opportunity to sit, and break bread with, one of the founders of Reverb Nation, break bread with them, not because you're trying to get to that next level, but just because you're hungry, and you both can talk about how good or how horrible, this lunch buffet is.
It's about being human,
Exactly.
and just not trying to sell something to everybody all the time, Like, I feel like as a young musician, like, I was definitely, like, probably that guy at one point. It was like, check out my stuff. And it's like, you realize it's just like the people that you're probably doing that to have also heard that 1,000 times from other people, So it's like, it's better to just get down on a real level and build like a personal bond, and then let everything like come after that.
Right. No, definitely. And look, just from a sales point of view, there's a reason why a lot of salespeople move away from the forced sale, because that's what you get buyer's remorse on, and that's what gets returned within those 3 days, and you lose your money. That's just the reality of the moment. The other thing that I always tell people, make sure what you're going to put out there is good,
Right.
and not good as per your standard, but good, period. Where I tell people all the time, I don't believe in cancel culture. I just believe that we as people we no longer put in the work necessary to be bulletproof. And when your art is that good and it is bulletproof, it does not matter what you say. It does not matter who you believe in. It does not matter who you back, because the art itself is untouchable. And that is something that I really, really respect about what you guys do. And it makes so much sense that everything is in-house, because it is a singular vision that comes from 6 different points of view. You're, the guy that does all your visuals, because he's in the band, understands the thematic aspect of it, understands who you guys truly are, understands that, because they sat in the van with you for those 15 hours, they notice that if the light hits you just on this perfect angle this way, it's going to be more dramatic of a shot. I love, like, the bicycle scene. That, in one of the Suburban, Suburban, what's the name of it?
Yeah.
The bicycle scene introduction, like, it's so great where you have that pull-up shot, and it gives me the nostalgia feel, kind of like I'm looking at those old school videos, and have that extra hip-hop element to it, and I know that that's only from truly understanding who you guys are, that can accomplish. Do you think that you are going to be outsourcing a little bit with this new project that is coming out in the wonderful month of April?
Yeah. So actually, this is the first project that we've actually had an outside engineer working with us for the mixing and mastering portion. Shout out to Dizzy Dahmer. He's out of Las Vegas. Super solid dude, great engineer. Um, and it's been a cool process working with somebody else and kind of taking that pressure off of myself a little bit, because my my problem is I will start mixing something and then I will hyper focus on my parts and I'll be like, oh, I got to re-record this, and it's like it gets to the point where it's like it's just gonna hold up the process. So it's like now we're to the point of we get it to like kind of where we like it, and then we send it out, and I'm like, okay, it's out of my hands. I can't do anything about it now, you know. So,
Right.
yeah, that's about the only thing we've been outsourcing through this process as of right now. There has been talks of working with, I guess, collaboratively with Ronnie, with some other video directors, but nothing's set in stone, but nothing's out of the question either. Like we're very open to collaboration, you know, whether to, you know, regardless of the medium. It's just kind of, you know, we love working with like-minded individuals, but also people who might bring a different idea to the table that maybe we didn't see. Like, you know, if we play one of our songs for somebody and they have a completely different interpretation of what we were seeing in our head, and they're
Reminds
like,
me
oh,
of myself and EZ BlueZ on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Behind the brand, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ. Continue, man.
So smooth, so smooth, so smooth. That was dope.
Yeah, and pretty much, you know, it's just you want to just be open to collaboration and stuff like that. But it's pretty much it. I think we're always open to different stuff.
Now, this new record, what are the ideas? What are the concepts? Is it thematic? Is it the final? Is it the Sky Swamp Orange rock opera that I fantasize about in my head all the time, or so what's going on?
So it's a polka album. No,
oh, nice, awesome.
I'm playing. So yeah, this is, so I guess you could technically call this like our debut full length, because we've only done EPs and some singles in the past here, which is kind of nutty to me because we're going on like 6 years as a band and we've never actually dropped a full album. But you know, we're young kids, you know, we're just kind of, we're learning a lot of stuff. You know, we got thrown into touring at a young age and we're just kind of like, whoa, you know, like, let's just try to survive. And, but yeah, we've been working on this album for the past 2 years. And when I say for the past 2, I mean consistently for the past 2 years. And it does have a theme around it. It's definitely the darkest material that we've made. Like our music's always kind of dabbled into like some darker tones, and but this is definitely like the furthest it's kind of gone. So the album is called Odium, and the whole theme of the album is hate. And it's, we as a band at the beginning of this record like process, we went through some really, really traumatic events as a band together. And it's hard to say like what I can say and what I can, out of respect for different people, but
understandable.
It was just, we all went into like just a really like just bad headspaces collectively, and you know, we lost some members, and we just kind of, we were working on an album previous to this,
right?
And what we thought was going to be the first album, and this was probably late 2019,
right?
and then a lot of these events happened, and we scrapped the entire album, like all of it, and just because it just didn't feel right. We wrote it with other members too, and you know, feelings towards different people changed, and all this, and then the pandemic hit right after that.
Well, before we get 100% into the pandemic hit aspect, unfortunately, the Apollo curtain is starting to close upon us. You know, we were getting the light from up on high, and I want to give the opportunity for you to tell the audience where they can get in touch with you, get in touch with the band, you know, where they can expect to hear Odium, you know, all of that kind of stuff, because that's really why you're here.
Absolutely.
is to promote your amazingness. This has been a phenomenal interview, but this time is 100% yours, brother. Please, how can they get in touch with you?
All right, so like I said, the album Odium is about to come out, and we're super proud of it. If you really want to get a feel of where our headspace was at, all that kind of stuff, just really listen to it. It's some of the deepest lyrics I've ever tapped into, and we will have some footage coming out relatively soon that kind of explains a little bit more about the process of the album and where we were at. So if people listening, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, look forward to that. But everything can be found at skyswamporange.net. That's pretty much the central hub. You got links to all of our other social medias on there. You can book us through there if you're looking to do that. We are now booking for this summer, and pretty much just keep it locked. You know, we're on everything on social media. It's at Sky Swamp Orange everywhere. You can follow me at stray.sso. And yeah, man, we're easy to find. Not a lot of people have our name. So if you can remember, because I know it's a mouthful, you know, but yeah, man, Sky Swamp Orange on everything. And, you know, I really appreciate you guys having me on here. And I know I speak for the band for, you know, thanks for giving us and sharing your platform with us. And, you know, much love to you guys. Much love to anybody listening. So
that is awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here. You know, no matter what, I love and respect you so much. I'm so honored to
mutual, my friend. It's 100% mutual.
It has been an honor to watch your growth, man. And I'm looking forward to we talk about it all the time, and we will at one day find a building that will be able to stand the power of the Penguin and the Sky Swamp on the same bill. You know, most venues will crumble.
You can't have too many forces of nature at once, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll call it the Hurricane Bill. It'll be amazing. But man, I love and respect you guys so much. One thing we do like to try to do, just as we kind of round out the day, if you have that advice to speak to that kid that is starting up, you've said it a couple of times throughout the interview, but what is that one nugget that you're giving them right now that they're walking away with?
Stop thinking that you need other people to make things happen for you. Pretty much it. Like, if you really want something, just do it. Like, I mean, if you don't, like, clearly there's things that people don't know how to do, but you know, we live in such a crazy time now where so much information is at your fingertips, and you know, and realize that you're not going to be perfect coming out the gate. You know, that's something that I think that I expected. You know, like, I think we all think it's got to be 0 to 100 real quick, but everything's a part of the journey, man, and you're supposed to just grow. You know, and when you're young, you know, you're hot-headed and you just want things to work because you're confused and puberty's hitting you and all this kind of nonsense, you know, and you just got to realize that it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, but work, be passionate, and stay true to yourself. That's it.
That's amazing. And again, man, thank you so much for coming on for myself and my good brother who sends it out so much better than I ever could. Anything to add there, brother?
Thanks for being on. WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and EZ BlueZ on Behind the Brand.
Hard to fathom holding future tense, heirlooms in the palm of your hands and not knowing what it really is. Could this be the peace of mind that qualifies as a horcrux, filling in the voids in my gray abyss? Never fall for too long was my only mantra, but that was scrapped the day before I hit rock bottom. So now my eyes glare up with a cold conscience. Killed off every foe and now I'm my only problem. Put blame in the pockets of whom I knew would submit to my bullshit. Can't deny it though, I'm asking was it worth it? Is at the time I was feeling like I earned it, or like I loved the upgrades with a purpose. Stoke the furnace, it's urgent. Release me regardless of purchase. Of course this feels fine for the moment we lurk in, but every second lost, so I'm closer to work with. I can't deny it. I've been swimming with silence and whisper of triumph, when I know all well that this is only smoke and gas. So show me a way out, away from the lights, away from the same sounds. Through these letters from the afterlife. Mind racing like my head cleats on. Feeling out of touch, Simpson with the glove. Can't get your buzz, so my grip won't ever slip from this grudge. Gone off this roller coaster, I'm over posters for closure. Weight skills for shoulders. Try to lift me when I'm held up. Still not enough for me to ever wanna show up. But I can't deny it.